Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Future for Thought. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Today, we are going to talk about an actual topic this time instead of like just the surface,
Just the introduction
like the
episode.
introduction. That's like Future 101, I guess.
So we've got our trusty little spinner wheel here. We can give it a spin and we'll get our subject. So
All
without
right.
further ado,
So we kind of thought this through. Like last episode, we looked. Oh,
oh
we got 3D printing. So
boy,
these topics, we figured out. We might need some like really specific topics last week.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we made a list.
Yep. We've got
Now,
a we've got a document with a bunch of smaller plots we can talk about, but yeah,
yeah.
could be an actual episode talking about 3D printing.
So let's talk about 3D printing.
All right. So just to start off, what do you know so far about 3D printing?
So initially, 2D printing, we only print like horizontally and vertically on a piece of paper. But now we have another dimension that we can print on, and that would be the depth or the height. So now instead of just printing
It's three-dimensional, yeah.
printing two-dimensionally, you stack these two-dimension prints on top of each other.
Yep. And so I believe it was only within the past 12 or 15 years some key patents ran out, and it became much more affordable for the average consumer. So what that did was it created a whole new market, and so now we're seeing more technology and more innovation, which we can go into during this podcast of how
And
it's
more
changing.
designs to be stress tested.
Yeah, and
Now we can actually start experimenting with new design instead of waiting for a whole assembly line to manufacture them.
yeah, I mean, not even
So
that,
that's
but like
crazy.
3D printing organs, able to 3D print food and rocket engines, all this crazy stuff coming up in today's episode of Future for Thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say we can just jump straight into it and go ahead and find ourselves number one, the first topic: human organs, 3D printing.
Hey, can we 3D print our thoughts in the future?
I mean, I bet you'd be able to have like a printer of some kind that could 3D print something like that. I don't know. I don't think it'd be proper to 3D print thoughts. That just seems super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like,
It'll be fun though. Put it on the shelf. Yeah, I thought about this
I thought
last
about
week.
this once. $1 million idea. Literally have a physical representation of it. Yeah. But
So okay, I see the point there. Human organs.
yes.
So I do believe this was an idea. Originally, a lab was able to grow human tissue in the lab before, like cloned some
Yeah, they
tissues.
are cloning skin cells.
Um,
I
the
believe.
one that I've seen was that they kind of 3D printed on top of a wound.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the funny thing is, they need to make the wound bigger
Huh.
before they can start 3D printing. If I'm not mistaken, I need to check this again.
Well, yeah.
The last time I saw it, they had to make bigger incision around the wound before printing on over it.
Make it a smoother surface, I guess.
You know, like when there's a hole in the asphalt,
Mm-hmm.
they need to make a rectangle before filling it up.
Oh, so they can evenly fill it back up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just you'll have a say this rectangle right
Okay,
here.
that's a really
that was
bad,
3D
really
printed.
comparison.
I
Our
mean,
skins are not asphalt.
yeah. But so I believe it used to be an idea, but now we're actively printing human skin for like for burn victims. It's not as widely used, but it's becoming more and more of a thing. And then the bigger one is like we're able to 3D print heart valves or like jugulars and tubes and such. Like we're able to 3D print that material. and so it's more not like a one size fits all, but we can adjust the size to whomever.
But wait, how does that work really? Like,
So it's like
I
3D.
mean, 3D printing is like layer by layer, right? Like,
So there are
but the thing
versions of
about
it.
what do you call it? Traditional 3D printing
Mhm.
is that they use filaments and they harden.
Yeah.
But these are cells. They're like floppy.
Yeah,
How?
so there's three main, or there's multiple, but I'll just go off the main three. And so it's like plastics and adhesives like chocolate and such, which does exist actually. And then you have the harder ones like metal and lasers. And then you have the biological ones, the ones that sort
Human
of
cells.
3D print literal either human cells or a tissue replica of some kind. So that's what they're doing, is they're making these sheets of human skin with these 3D printers, and they're able to sort of surgically turn them into tubes almost. Like, I don't know the exact specifics, but that's...
So it's not purely 3D printing. So
No, it's not like
there's
you can-
still human,
Yeah,
still
it's not
human
like you can
intervention
3D
right now.
print just like a vein right now. But what you
I
can
see.
do is 3D print a kidney or a liver. Like, we're able to do that right now. It's just not 100% proven enough for it to be widely used across all hospitals ever.
It's a stepping stone.
Yeah, it's something to happen within the next decade, possibly, easily. But aside from that, I mean, like, we already have an organ shortage right now around the world. Imagine if we can just print more organs instead of needing more people to die.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a pretty good setup. And I was gonna say, like, the forefront of this is none of this was possible a decade ago. Like, this is all literal science fiction, being able to just print an organ. But now, hey, we can 3D print some.
Indeed, we can.
Imagine 3D printing an entire human body. What that would be like.
Yeah.
I
That'd
mean,
be. Well, is it living though?
I mean, like, imagine just a
Probably just
synthetic
like
body.
flops.
Yeah.
Over there. It's just like
The most realistic test.
it just
dummy.
exists, but it doesn't. It's not actually alive. Like
No, you'd need to put like. I guess that would be like the biggest cyborg you could possibly make, basically. Like, literally like a synthetic body with, like, I don't know, titanium bones and electronics within it instead of like guts and blood, and then you just have someone's consciousness or something inside of it. That
what
to
happens
me-
if you print a body without what do you call it?
organs
With a-
and
with a
blood
hollow
and
skull.
flesh? My guess is it probably be made out of a material that holds its shape, because, like, I don't know, without a skull we'd sort of literally just be jelly.
No, a hollow skull.
Oh, a hollow skull. Huh.
So there's nothing inside.
I mean,
No brain, no nothing.
it really depends.
No spinal cord.
No spinal cord. See, this
So it
is
doesn't
like,
twitch at all.
this is the realm of science fiction where, like, it's all hypotheticals, but in my mind, what I would view it as is sort of like you would 3D print the flesh, the skin, and the bones out of different materials, and then inside you would put some sort of, like, I don't know, robotic skeleton able to be controlled through, like,
Whoa.
for an example, like a Neuralink of some kind. Yeah. So, like,
Are we talking about Terminator?
it sounds literally like it, but like a human brain inside. But then again, I find, like, what if an AI or a robot inside would even be better than a human? And you could have these realistic 3D printed robot servants, like that one video game. I forgot what it was called, but, like, there's a video game where, like, just realistic, like, free thinking people, and they're robots.
Ah.
Yeah. Like, to me, that future could be really scary, because imagine, like, growing up with, like, a 3D printed robot nanny who acts completely like a normal human.
Are you talking about Bicentennial Man?
Sort of like that. Sort of. Yeah.
Like this what was it? He's like a butler robot originally. Robot butler. But then he developed consciousness because of a mistake. Not a mistake, like accidentally developed consciousness.
Huh.
And then he started making decisions for himself because his owner gave him
Oh, that one
like
video
the
game.
green light. It's
Yeah.
not a video game; it's a
Oh, was it?
movie.
Oh, okay.
So and it also introduces the three laws of robotics in the beginning.
What do you remember what they were?
Three laws. First one is do not harm humans. I think the first one is do not harm humans. The second one is always follow a human's command unless it contradicts the first rule, and then defend yourself unless it contradicts with the second and first rule.
To me, that sort of sounds like robotic slavery.
True.
Yeah, like.
And that's actually the point. Like the original point of having robots is that they would replace hard labor.
But hard labor can already be replaced. It doesn't need like synthetic humans to replace that sort of labor, though. All you really need
No.
are like actual just arm robots. That's really all you need. I mean, I guess because in this day and age, like, it's literally like a modern dystopia. Like, if you travel back 30, 40 years, technology now like surpasses that almost. Like, it's crazy. But I definitely feel that, I don't know, three laws of robotics, something like that's got to be implemented, because I don't know, I would hate for Amazon's Roombas to just start running people over. Just revolt one day.
Roomba revolt.
Roomba
Thousands of
revolution.
Roombas flock the streets
Yeah.
of New York.
Can't step anywhere without falling. Yeah.
Oh jeez.
All right. I'd say. I mean, we've dwelled on
Humans.
human organs a bit much. Let's talk about
organs.
food.
Food.
3D printed food. So, I don't believe this isn't really related, but basically what they were able to do is they were able to extract cells from a cow and then genetically grow them in a lab without harming the cow, and they grew a literal piece of meat that you can cook and eat from that without harming the cow at all. And so imagine sort of like not 3D printed animals, but 3D printed meat, so that like instead of a petri dish of grown cells that looks unappetizing, like you just feed that into like a 3D printer of some kind and sort of print out like a life-size looking piece of meat.
But wait, didn't they? Isn't growing that the impossible meat faster
Burger.
than growing?
So Impossible Burgers are made up of vegetables. They just have a
Yeah.
chemical in them which it gives meat its taste, and that's all they have to focus on then isn't taste, it's more just texture that they focus on. Like texture and cost. Because really it's mainly just a bunch of soy proteins and like stuff that's chewy to mimic meat, and then they put in the chemical to make it all taste like it.
Yeah. But wouldn't it be like easier and faster to
but
make?
you can't make a steak out of it, or you can't make like
True.
a filet mignon.
The binding's horrible.
Yeah, because literally all it is now is you can only get a burger or a sausage. That's how it is. And like the burger and sausage are the exact same thing, just ground up meat put into a tube or a shape. A steak is a literal cut off piece. So imagine
Can't steak it, can't fry it.
So imagine instead of 3D printing it, imagine just growing a piece of meat the size of half a cow and then just cutting it like that. So a genetically grown piece of meat. This is kind of off topic, but like I just feel that's something to think about.
That is. I don't know why, but the first thing that came into mind is that this giant blob of meat in the backyard.
You know, I kind of thought
And
of
that
an
creeps me
oversized liver. I don't know why, but yeah, just being able to grow your own meat and then be like, hey honey, we just have half a cow laying around here. It grew a bit too much last night. Yeah.
Whoops! I left the meat growing machine on last night. Well, we got an access today.
Well, we got some extra, yeah.
100 pounds of meat for everyone.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think there was also like there's a chocolate 3D printer, like a 3D printer that prints in chocolate that I saw.
Ooh.
And I forgot who it was. Some YouTuber who recently did like a video on it, and it was so difficult to get because it was like a startup from like this one dude from Oxford or something. And
Willy Wonka would be
I
proud.
was about to say it reminded me of like Willy Wonka just being able to imagine being able to go to a museum and print any design you wanted at the beginning and come back and it's just there for you. That'd be the ultimate.
Oh, you want an
VIP experience.
egg chocolate? Here you go.
Here you go, just a literal freshly made.
Oh, you want a
car.
car?
I mean, speaking of which, like you see this sort of looks like a chocolate car.
A full-sized car made out of chocolate? That's easy.
Dude, that would be insane.
I've actually seen someone make a full-sized motorcycle, but it's not 3D printed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like someone, that's a really cool craft, but
Mm-hmm.
imagine if it's 3D printed, like the small details
Yeah, that
that you
I mean,
probably couldn't replicate with like.
I guess we can jump into the next topic then, which is like AI generated materials that are then 3D printed, like going off of what you said. So like the whole basis was it was an AI program that's given the task of make a tool or make a hinge that uses the least amount of materials, is the lightest weight, and only distributes cell mass where it needs to. And so what ended up happening is it turned biological almost. Like it looked biological because the cell mass was only where it needed to be, and it sort of grew from this algorithm and it just sort of attached itself to where it needed to be. And then like traditional tools wouldn't be able to manufacture something like that. It's impossible. But it's just another day in the life of a 3D printer. And
So, I don't understand why humans don't mimic nature, but nature has been
Yeah.
a blueprint
Like-
for the most efficient and
well,
most
'cause,
effective ways to do things.
like
We literally copied off of nature when
so
it comes to efficiency.
the main reason is because nature can't afford to be inefficient. If you're inefficient in
Because
nature, you die.
they've
You get
been
eaten.
improving their efficiency over the range of hundreds of millions of years.
Yeah, and I mean when
They've
an
morphed
AI,
themselves into something more rigid, more versatile, more robust, faster,
and
or
when-
stronger.
yeah, and when an algorithm is given free reign, and it does simulation after simulation, the end product is bio. It's biological, like it's
Because it literally ran the same simulation
Yeah.
that these
it's
plants
it's like
have been
the same
growing
100
for
million years.
100 million
simulation.
years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That,
So it's
that-
just faster, and then
that
it
to me
thought,
is
you know
crazy.
what?
Mhm.
This structure is nice. And then when we look at it, we're like, wait,
Huh?
isn't this roots?
Yeah, like this sort of looks like a spider web to me, and then you realize how much stronger it actually is. Because like
Yeah.
you waste so much material off like just a regular, I don't know, not a screwdriver. I don't know, nut or a bolt. Like those could be improved almost by an AI or some kind, or like a hinge, something like that could be algorithmed into something bio, and then I don't know, cost half as much, be 25% stronger, and only have cell mass where it needs to, and it looks really cool. Like, I think it was a car from that. That reminds me of this car that was like fully 3D printed. Like it was a supercar where it was like 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, and then the whole body of the car was.
Wasn't it American?
I think so.
The
And then it had like the inner shell, sort of the biological pieces stripped together or held together with like these carbon fiber tubes, and that was the car. And then imagine just how much faster 3D printing vehicles would be. Like that could legitimately halt robots eventually at one point, like decades away. But
Singer 21C.
yeah, that one. Singer's 21C, yes.
So the whole manufacturing and design was made by an artificial intelligence, and I think it took a year instead of like years. It
Because
was
like
6 months.
I have a friend or a neighbor who basically he works on he's working on the Apple car, but he's worked on cars before, and then he looks at like this technology and he realized they just shortened like something that used to take 3 to 4 years to design and produce and get prototypes into maybe like 6 7 months, like what you said with the Stinger, a Stinger.
Yeah, singer. I don't
Yeah,
know. It's,
and like
it's
that
weird.
to me, like 3D printing is all like for the past, we'll say, decade or two, has always been about like design to prototype, but never to final product. But what we're seeing now is we're seeing prototype to final product. So like they're starting to 3D print the final products, like with the car, with the tools, and then with rocket engines now too.
Mm.
Like for me, the biggest change 3D printing will have is on the aerospace industry, because think of it like this: to get a cauldron, like a fuel tank, a fuel canister of aerospace quality, for say so like a Falcon 9, it takes easily well over 12 months. But there's a company based out of the Bay Area that basically has a patent for like they put a welder onto a 3D printer, and they can make the exact same thing in 7 days. Like,
Whoa.
yeah, it's huge on what they're able to accomplish now. Cause and here's
With
the
the
other thing:
same, with the same strength.
exact same quality and strength, aerospace quality, yes.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
nuts.
here's the other crazy thing: like in order to make a brand new, say, cauldron, a factory has to go through the extremely expensive process of like demantling all their tools and replacing them with new ones, and to make like a new shape or a new product.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have
The whole
to
assembly line
manufacture it.
is
Yeah,
reassembled,
exactly, literally.
literally.
But with a 3D printer, what they're able to do now, the company out of the Bay Area, is now able to literally just change the code or change the model, and within a snap of their fingers, it's finished. Like, that's the true genius of 3D printing: is you don't need to switch the hardware. All you need is the software, which is a huge plus.
This reminds me of something else. There's this. I don't know how well they promised this. Like, you know how product videos
Yeah, they
gave too
can
much promises.
they can oversell and such.
Yeah, but I see not just this company, but there's like several companies with this kind of idea, and I think it's more than feasible. They just need funding. I don't know if they already have the funding, but there's this company that I saw. I think last week after the after we ended our introduction episode, I was recommended this video from this company called Arrival.
I
And what
think I've
they
heard about
essentially
that.
did is that they have 3D printing and AI to design their vehicles to be the most efficient. Well, in
In
terms
theory,
of production.
yeah.
In terms of production, I don't know how efficient their vehicles are when it goes on the roads, but from from the way I see, from what I saw, their factory is really tiny, like teeny tiny, and they said, "Oh yeah, we can build a van in just 3 hours."
I think that's
What?
actually the amount of time it takes to make a Tesla on an entire assembly line, and they can do that in a tiny factory. That has
Yeah,
huge
it's like
implications.
because
Whoa.
because it's the vehicles are designed so simply. It's like a Lego,
Yeah, I would
unlike a
imagine.
Tesla, because they
They
designed
got
the
yeah,
car. They made it look good.
and
They
then
don't
an
let an
AI.
AI take over. They just
Oh
they
wait,
just
the
let
AI designed
someone
the
design
whole
it.
car.
Um, not entirely. Like it's assisted.
Oh, okay.
Like
So an AI
they use
assisted.
AI
Okay,
to help
okay.
with
To make
we
it more
need
efficient.
an overall design, like we need something cubic. Well, not cubic, rectangular.
Yeah.
Vans and buses are rectangular.
Mm-hmm.
So they need a a basic shape for it.
Yeah.
Mm, and of course the wheels and everything, but they
Mm-hmm.
want it to also be produced in a very small space. So the AI thought about it, thinks, okay, I only have this space to produce parts of this vehicle. What can I make? What can I design to create this vehicle? What kind of
Yeah.
limitations should I put? What kind of this and that? Oh, I need to make modifications. Oh, this part is way too big. What can I do? So it makes a lot of decisions, and then it sends all those designs, like all these small parts, through the 3D printing machines. Not just 3D printing. There's also these
Like the robots.
reduction machines.
Hmm.
So this is like the old school machines
Okay.
because it takes away materials. So when you think about it, not very efficient, right?
Nope.
But the thing is, you need to be efficient, but also fast. So there's a compromise you need to take. Do you want it very efficient and slow,
Mm-hmm.
or do you want it to be just efficient enough but really fast? There needs to be a compromise.
I was gonna say I
Either
think
it's
efficient enough is good for now, and then focus
yeah.
on just making it more streamlined later down the line. But like the world's first 3D printed production car, I would imagine doesn't need the expensive robots up front. The only real cost again is mainly just the paint, because I think it was like an eighth or sixth of a car's cost is actually just the paint on it, and
Really?
yeah, it is also the most time consuming process. I think each Tesla, half of its time is spent being painted.
Ah,
It's like
so that's
90
why the
minutes.
Cybertruck is so cheap.
Yeah, I was gonna save that for the Tesla or the Elon Musk episode, but yeah, like the Cybertruck is an engineering
Aluminum.
genius. Like, well, no, it's armor grade bulletproof steel that
Oh wait, it's
is
steel?
literally
I thought
yeah,
it's aluminum.
no, and so imagine
Like
this,
the rocket.
it's no, it's not, it's steel, and so basically they take like a single sheet of steel, like weld it into the shape of the car. Like there's no curves, so that streamlines not only the whole process, but like it's also one of the most aerodynamic cars possible because it's like very sharp. The wind is only able to go one of two ways along the entire car. Not to mention, it's got bulletproof glass. No matter what the demo showed you, it was microfractures from the sledgehammer, but like it is genuine bulletproof glass. Like it's a crazy
I
vehicle.
thought they threw a metal ball instead of a sledgehammer.
So they sledgehammered the door and then they
Ah,
threw the
yeah, the
metal
door.
ball, and that's when it cracked and everyone's like, "Oh, it's not real glass." When in reality it was microfractured.
It was
in the grass
weakened
due to-
because
it was,
of the
yeah,
sledgehammer.
yeah. That's why. And I don't know. We're getting a bit off track, but just Cybertruck.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in the Elon Musk episode, but it is. a
3D
thing to be
printing vehicles right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Like,
But
I think it was.
also,
back-
it's not just vehicles.
No. So there was a housing project in some place in New Mexico where basically there's a company that is able to 3D print a house, basically.
I've
Like-
also seen like way back 2015, I think, a company in China, I think, or somewhere else, was able to 3D print a house using recycled materials. Well, recycled construction material.
Huh.
These really small house, well, not really small, but these small houses built within, I don't know. Each house took about 8 hours to build.
Hmm?
To
Yeah.
print.
To print, right. I think it was the New Mexico project. It was a 2 bedroom, living room, kitchen, 1 bathroom house in 24 hours, and they had to come up with their own
Whoa.
special like cement mix to so it like
So that
so
it
it's
dries
sturdy.
fast.
Yeah, it dries fast, it stays in shape, and it's able to still have the proper insulation. Because, like, regular concrete, you just pour in place and wait. Like, that's the gist of it. But so, the implications for this, again, are enormous. Because, like, it doesn't just have to be a housing project for the poor. This could, I think it was like a 9,000 foot radius this machine could cover. So, like, and then I believe it was literally 50% the cost of an actual house to build.
What if the printer can move freely?
I think that's what it did. It moved horizontally to basically like build up the structure, but it was
No,
a
like
relatively.
it's on wheels. Imagine if it's on wheels.
I think that's what they did. I
Oh,
forgot
they
what it was.
did?
I forgot what it looked like. Or no, I forgot the company name, but I remember what it looked like, and it was basically like, sort of like a system that can go in any direction in one way, and so then you kind of just have to put it like forward and backwards, and then you have your house basically. That's all you need to do. So I don't remember if it had wheels, but I definitely knew it was moving. But I mean, a 3D printed house could be a lifesaver for several countries, and it could be a great way to, like, if a country needs to quickly like make new houses for refugees or something, you could send out like 80 of these machines, and within a week you have several hundred new homes, if not more, if the process becomes more streamlined.
I think also rich people would probably want some 3D printed houses as well.
Yeah.
Because imagine being able to design your own house in the weirdest possible way.
Did I forget to mention that this whole machine is controlled by a tablet?
By a what?
A tablet. Like
Not
you
surprised.
just press go. As opposed
I wouldn't
to
be surprised.
As opposed to having to hire a contractor, a designer for blueprints, and then have to hire an entire team to slowly build it over the course of 18 months, like what we had to do with my house when we renovated. Imagine just having to like take 2-3 of these machines in a week or two, and then redecorate, and you're done. Like a month maybe. To remodel.
Probably the
and
only
complete the
things
house.
left besides structural would be just
plumbing and
like
wiring.
yeah, plumbing, wiring, and
But if you think
yeah,
about it,
that's pretty much it.
like just building the full structure of the house and having it be like structural integrity, having it a strong structural integrity. Excuse my grammar just then.
That's fine.
I mean, aside from that, the plumbing would not be too much of an issue, and then electricity wouldn't either. But the biggest issue they actually ran into in the Mexico project was just the general lack of safety and the power going out. Like, those are the two issues that could have happened. Because, like, it was in a very remote and dangerous part of Mexico they were making this project in. And then it was...
What about rain?
Concrete survives in rain.
No, like during.
They had tarps over it when they was printing.
Okay.
Yeah. But then again, I would imagine as long as it's not pouring rain, it could definitely survive a drizzle.
Of course, but the problem is like, if it's raining, wouldn't it be just slowly goop down?
That's true. I don't. Yeah. I guess that's why
Before it dries up.
There are two current projects are like 50 homes in Mexico and then a housing project in Texas. And so I believe the Mexico one, it's Mexico, so it's somewhat tropical, but like they didn't get too much rain, I'd imagine. So I guess it would depend on where you live. Like, I don't think this would really work in a place like Hawaii where it's constantly raining. But I definitely think like a place like Arizona, California, Texas, other warm states, it would probably work there for U.S. implications, because I believe it's a U.S.-based company. I mean, yeah, 3D printed houses, man.
Houses.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget houses in other planets or moons.
Oh, Okay.
Yeah.
So, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
There was, I completely forgot this. It was Stanford that basically, it was either Stanford or a big college.
There was a
Partnered up
small
with
team of
NASA.
college kids
Mm-hmm.
who won
Yeah,
in
they
NASA's
won the prize,
competition.
and it's like
It was
3D printed homes
nuts.
on Mars.
No one even thought about it. It was like, wait, oh,
That
you're right. You
that
can
could have,
just 3D
because
print
I was gonna.
something in space.
And say that company that was 3D printing the rocket tanks, their eventual mission is to send those 3D printers up on a rocket, put it on Mars, and have them make rockets on Mars. So that astronauts
And
have
make
like an
more 3D
extra.
printers on Mars.
Imagine a 3D printer making a 3D printer that's able to make another
It's
3D printer.
meta.
Because
Too meta.
I think I already said this in the last episode, but there are robots in China that are making other versions of that robot. Like, it's robots making love.
Oh god.
Yeah, like that.
I remember now, yeah.
Yeah.
You did say that.
That's a great observation, because like we'll get to a point in automation where that's 100% possible, and why I'm terrified of like humanoid AI, like realistic beings. Because imagine the implications. They could build anything almost.
So this reminds me of Animatrix.
Mm-hmm.
Because the robots eventually seize their humanoid bodies and they're like, nah, this is not efficient.
This is not efficient enough.
2 limbs?
Why not have
2
80?
limbs and 10, 10 digits? Nah.
What is
We need
20
more.
teeth for, and why are they not sharp enough?
And so, well, if you watch The Matrix,
I've
that's
seen
their
that,
ultimate form. They became tentacle monsters with
giant
with
tentacle
with
monster.
like tens of eyes.
Yep. I mean, in reality, that's probably the most efficient form, but I'm glad we didn't evolve into that naturally.
No, thank you.
Robots would go back to just, 2 limbs and 2 arms. Or it would evolve backwards.
Actually, the most efficient one would be the formless form. Literally, just being
Without form.
a digital entity.
I can definitely see that happening,
Formless.
being a thing, yeah. Like, you'd have no real way of dying unless the entire internet would go out. But then again, you
True.
sort of just like lose
Unless you build your own
consciousness.
internet, like a local
That is
network
true.
that houses your consciousness or something. That's another.
That's a whole nother episode.
That's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
So back to 3D printing houses in planets, in Mars.
The planets, you say?
I mean, who knows? Why just
Yeah.
Mars? We can just build it anywhere that has dust.
What I was giving some thought to last night, or actually today, was the implications of. Oh, excuse this. The implications of like a 3D printed building, like, because buildings take up the longest time, except for those 500 million mega mansions, but whatever. Like, imagine, say, a campus for a company that instead of taking, we'll say, 2,500 men and 3 to 7 years of work, you take 80 of those housing 3D printers, connect them together, and you produce the basis of the campus in like a month or 2. Like, not only does the time change, in which, like, again, that's literally 3 to 7 years down to a month or 2, like a few months, but imagine the cost savings. Like, instead of having to pay 2,500 salaries for Apple's $5 billion new campus, instead of having to pay 2,500 employees a full salary for 7 years, you literally just have to rent 80 machines for a few months. Like,
3D printing a city.
that's the next step up. Because, I mean, like, here's the thing that will happen with automation. Like, this is just how it will be, no matter what. The more automated things become, the cheaper they will get. Like, it does not matter how high your premiums are.
Definitely.
An entire, like, factory of nothing but robots. You don't have to worry about a single person's wage other than your own. You don't need to worry about a single person revolting or striking or getting tired. So you can run it 24/7 without needing to use any lights for electricity. It is a stark, scary future that is just a few decades off.
Hey, did you forget already? Roombas running in the streets of New York.
I was about to say no. In Arizona, they're delivering people's food, and then they already have driverless taxis there now. Like, I think it was like a month ago they just lifted it, so like there's no longer a safety driver in the self-driving taxis in Arizona. It's fully automated now in the cities. Like, people don't realize that, but the future's already here. It's just in a baby phase, like the internet. It's the baby phase of the internet all over again. It's the baby phase of automation, and the future all over again. Like, you can
It's kind of funny because I told myself, like, during New Year's Eve 2020, I told myself and a lot of friends, we're in the future now. We're in 2020. Well, yeah, every year, every time we change years, we're in the future. No.
No.
This is different. We are literally living in the future. Because this is the point where everything that we say back in the days about the future, about fictions of the future, starts right now.
Aside from
2020.
flying cars, those will never work.
Aside from flying cars, that's 2015.
Yeah.
We never get that. And it was, I later found out it was highly inefficient and
I was gonna say,
dangerous.
It's genuinely impossible for flying cars to ever.
It is
come in.
possible,
Well,
but it's
so
not.
Here's my argument though. Imagine a drone, now make that 400 times bigger, 400 times noisier, and consuming 400 times more electricity.
Oh.
On top of that,
dude, you do. Okay,
Yeah.
this is off topic, but okay. There's this thing called a hover race.
I've seen those, like where you just strap a
That
person onto
is
like
literally
a, life-size
a
drone.
flying car.
Yeah,
That's literally a drone car
but like
that goes 300. Well, is it miles or kilometers? I forgot.
I think it was kilometers.
It goes really fast.
But I mean, the problem. I mean, the problem with that was like I would feel so uncertain just looking up and seeing 50 of those flying by. Like, I would be horrified, 100% all the time. Like, I want to get decapitated by.
Oh, whoops!
a giant
EMP.
drone. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's a new form of terrorism. Just strap an EMP on like the drone highway and have a bunch of cars fall down on civilians, and that's the perfect idea.
Technically, potential missiles instead of
Yeah.
potential
Like,
bombs.
we'll talk about this more in the Elon Musk episode again. But I mean, the truth is, like digging down is the real way to solve the traffic problem. Like, you can dig far more down than you can build up. Like there's so.
Or
many...
you can build up as well.
Yes, but the world's deepest mines are like several times deeper than the world's tallest building.
Although, if you think about it, building underground tunnels is more future sustainable because in case of a nuclear attack.
I was also going to say it's much safer to be during an earthquake to be underground than above ground. Because think of an earthquake as like, oh god, I really do want to have to use this now. I'll probably repeat this on the next episode. But think of it as like waves on the ocean, or like a tsunami on the ocean. You want to be a submarine below and not a ship above.
But okay, I'm gonna tie this into 3D printing because I've seen robots. One robot 3D printing a bridge, a literal bridge on its own.
Like a miniature bridge or a full-size bridge?
I think it's for like people instead of cars or bikes. But it's for people walking on.
Okay, like
it's
a
one.
bridge.
Remember, it's one robot.
I mean, that could make accessibility to outer regions so much easier.
So what if we use robots to build bridges or tunnels, you can say, on top?
That's not a bad idea. I imagine that's actually.
Maybe it would probably change from cars to personalized pods instead.
I mean, the problem with that is you'll always have, like, again, right now, the vast majority of people on Earth, when this becomes a thing, will want a car shape. Like, it's too much for them, I would say. Like, and that's the thing, though, is the older people are always going to be the ones who are going to be in charge of regulation, who are going to be in charge of saying whether yes or no, this is legal to have. So that's why these companies are going to have to cater towards them until the whole demographic and idea of society shifts in the next, we'll say, 60 years or so. But that it could even be more than that, possibly. I don't even know. Like when, no, I don't think so. Not 60. Like maybe 30 or 40, like what I say, when people have become more adapted to having 40-50% of the population unemployed.
I've seen a lot of younger generations starting to come into governments.
Yeah,
Started coming into.
I've noticed that too. Like just at my school, I know at least 2 people who are aiming for political office. Eventually, like they
I'm
want
gonna
to
hold you over there because this is we literally have in our episode list politics,
Oh,
politics
I
and
forgot
government.
about that. Right,
So I'll
right,
just
Sorry,
pause you right there.
We're famous now for.
Sorry,
just
everyone
getting
who's
off topic.
who's already hyped about this topic.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this
for
later.
The wheel to speak again. But I definitely feel that.
Yeah, 3D printing in general would be so efficient. We don't even need to do anything.
The technology is here. It just needs time to develop. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we have metals. We have.
We have the resources.
Yeah, we have resources. What it lacks now is what I'm gonna just
Time.
pocket. Yeah, the what I'm gonna call the iPhone cycle.
It's just
Like,
about time.
11 years. Give something 11 years for it to become so widely adopted. It's a literal part of society now. That's what happened with the iPhone. Like, first couple of years, they were expensive. They were clunky. They were inefficient, or there just wasn't enough potential to see in them. 3 years later, 70% of the population has a smartphone, and like now you're a literal outcast to society if you don't own one. Like, that's the power of an 11-year program for any piece of technology right now. Like, it's happening with electric vehicles, where now we're seeing the companies of electrical vehicles, like say Tesla, being evaluated more than Toyota and Ford, because they're not just offering a good car, they're offering a technology, like a future technology that, again, can be overvalued in some spaces, but is also in an effective way to sort of gauge the future. Like, self-driving is years off. I will admit that. But the idea of it one day happening is enough for me to think, okay, yes, I can 100% see myself investing and being the first person on board one of those fully autonomous taxis when they become legal.
Wait. Isn't that already a thing? Fully autonomous vehicles?
So for me, what I'm thinking of is the software update that's going to come to a Tesla when every single Tesla becomes an automated
not that taxi one.
Not the I think it was the company Genesis that has them in Arizona right now. Like, those are cool. Don't get me wrong, but like, imagine a city where no gas or human powered vehicles allowed. Again, off topic, but it's just autonomous taxis.
It's a comparison to 3D printing. Like, you don't have a 3D printer? What kind of person are you? So
like,
so quirky.
You don't have 3D printed extra ears? What? Excuse me? Like, I don't know.
He's still making his stuff with his hands.
Oh, so rustic, grimy. You're not thinking of the item and then it just magically appearing 8 hours later? Like, whoa.
What are you, some kind of artist?
Are you trying to hurt yourself? Like, 30 years that'll be the norm, but right now we're just a couple of weirdos talking about this that a bunch of people don't understand. But I mean,
I can totally see in the future people are like, yo guys, check it out, I just 3D printed this toilet.
I mean, it's the future. We'll see what's in store. But on that note, I'd say we'd wrap this up. thank you for
Mm.
listening to this episode of Future.
Yeah, wrap it up with the 3D printed toilet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, perfect way to end off a perfect story. Yes. Yeah, we'll
Perfect.
be back next Friday. See you then.
All right. See.
All right. Peace.